What if the Batman universe we all know, the one Tim Burton built with his incredible gothic style, had gone even darker, even more twisted? Just imagine Robin Williams, not as the funny guy we loved, but as a genuinely creepy Riddler. Think about Billy D. Williams finally getting his turn as Two-Face, and Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman slinking through an even more shadowy Gotham. This isn't some fan-made story. This was this close to happening with Batman 3, a sequel that was gonna take us deeper into the Burtonverse. But then, it just disappeared.
Kill the bat! Sounds like a good idea. But have you thought it through? A few bullets, a quick splash of blood, and then what? Wet hands. Post-homicidal depression.
We're about to pull back the curtain on Batman Continues, the Tim Burton sequel that got away. Try to forget what you saw in Batman Forever. This was a whole different animal, a movie that could have changed superhero films all over again, but it never happened. Why? Well, the reasons are about as complicated and murky as Gotham City itself. Tim Burton's Batman in 1989 and Batman Returns in 1992 really shook things up in cinema. They gave us a Gotham that was gothic, psychological, and totally grabbed adult audiences. But Batman Returns, with its pretty out there penguin and a very overtly sexual Catwoman, well, that was a bit much for some people. The movie's dark, grown-up vibe sparked some serious backlash, especially from parents.
No sweat. I'll just tell the police I was kidnapped by an ugly birdman with fish breath.
Somebody say fish? I haven't been fed all day.
Eat floor. High fiber.
And corporate sponsors? Let's just say McDonald's wasn't exactly thrilled about putting images from that movie on their family-friendly Happy Meals. All that discomfort got Warner Bros. Thinking hard about their big franchise. They wanted a Batman that was lighter, easier to market, and let's be honest, the toy sales weren't exactly booming with all that gloom from Burton's vision. Even with all the worried whispers, Tim Burton was initially planning to round out his trilogy with a film reportedly called Batman Continues. This wasn't going to be a reboot or a fresh start, it was a direct sequel.
By the way, I've seen your mind, freak. Yours is the greatest riddle of all. Can Bruce Wayne and Batman ever truly coexist? We'll find out today!
Carrying on the story and, importantly, bringing back the same core cast that made Burton's Batman so special. Michael Keaton was all set to come back as the brooding Bruce Wayne Batman we'd all come to know. And Michelle Pfeiffer, whose incredible Catwoman pretty much stole every scene in Batman Returns, was also expected back, especially since her fate was left so up in the air.
Appetite for destruction? Contempt for the czars of fashion? Wait, don't tell me. Naked, sexual charisma.
Batman.
But maybe the biggest steal for fans of the first movie was that Billy D. Williams, Harvey Dent from 1989's Batman, was finally going to make that tragic turn into Two-Face, an arc that, well, we all know went to Tommy Lee Jones later, but in a totally different way. The studio was really keen on the Riddler for the next big bad, and Tim Burton's pick for this super smart villain? None other than Robin Williams. Now, picture this, a Riddler worlds away from the hyper, kinda goofy version Jim Carrey played. Burton and Williams were aiming for something much darker, more of a psychological head game, digging into obsession and mind games. The Riddler would have been a genuine mastermind, a seriously chilling opponent for Batman's detective work. There's some back and forth on whether the idea of Riddler with a question mark shaved into his head was Burton's or actually Jim Carrey's own addition for Batman Forever.
Not enough time to save them both. Which one will it be, Batman? Bruce's love or the Dark Knight's junior partner?
Who knows for sure, but man, Robin Williams as a creepy Burton-style Riddler? That's one of Hollywood's biggest what-ifs. And then there was Robin. Apparently, Marlon Wayans was cast. He even got paid, originally for Batman Returns. But his character got pushed to the third movie because, let's face it, Returns was already jam-packed with characters. Now, Burton's Robin? Probably not the holy smokes Batman kid in bright primary colors. The idea was for something more grounded, maybe even with a pretty tragic backstory to fit the whole mood of his universe. Meanwhile, guess who else was slated for a comeback? Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman. Her story definitely wasn't finished, and Batman Continues would have dived into that tricky, dangerous dance she had with Batman. Was she an ally? A rival? Talk about messing with Bruce Wayne's already complicated life.
The news these days, weird. I heard on TV that Catwoman is thought to weigh 140 pounds. I don't know how these hacks sleep at night.
It's not even accurate. Batman blows it.
They were even kicking around ideas for a Catwoman spin-off movie with Pfeiffer and Burton. Okay, so no complete script from Burton's Batman Continues has ever actually surfaced, but from production notes, old interviews, and what insiders have let slip over the years, we can cobble together a pretty cool picture. So imagine Gotham, still kind of reeling from the Penguin's rampage, now having to deal with the Riddler's intellectual attacks.
Here's the bargain. You will help me steal production capital so I can put a box on every TV in town and become Gotham's cleverest carbon-based life form!
Harvey Dent's transformation into Two-Face? That would have hit Batman on a really personal, tragic level. Catwoman showing up again would have kept blurring those lines between good guy and bad guy, challenging Batman's mission and, his heart. And mixed into all of this, a new Robin. Maybe some orphaned kid finding a grim kind of purpose under Batman's damaged wing.
Is this a Robin?
My brother's wire broke once. I swung out and grabbed him. My father said I was his hero. I flew in like a robin.
It really sounds like the film would have kept that dark, psychological exploration going, a true follow-up to the style and themes of his first two movies. So, what happened? Why did this awesome-sounding Batman Continues just vanish? Well, it mostly came down to that same darkness that made Burton's movies so unique in the first place. Warner Bros. Was still smarting from the unhappy parents and the disappointing merchandise sales after Batman Returns. They desperately wanted a lighter, more family-friendly Batman, and frankly, one that would sell more toys. The creative differences just got too big to ignore. Tim Burton, in his meetings, could probably sense the studio wasn't fully behind his vision anymore. He wasn't exactly fired, but it was made pretty clear that they wanted a change. So the studio brought in Joel Schumacher, and his job was to deliver a brighter, more colorful, and campier Batman. That big shift in tone? Michael Keaton was not having it. He felt the new direction just wasn't true to the character he and Burton had built. So even with a hefty paycheck offered, he walked away.
Why are you doing this? Let's just take him to the police. Then we can go home. Together.
And Robin Williams, who Burton had wanted for the Riddler, he got caught in the reshuffle too. Disagreements about salary and the studio leaning towards a more comedic Riddler meant Jim Carrey ended up with the part in Schumacher's film. Now, there have been a ton of rumors swirling about Burton's specific plans over the years. Like we mentioned, that idea of the Riddler with a question mark shaved into his head? That seems to be more linked to Jim Carrey and Batman Forever than Burton's original concept. And while fans have definitely speculated about other villains, like Scarecrow, maybe making an appearance, there's not a lot of concrete proof that they were in Burton's direct plans for a third movie.
What the hell just happened? A very surprising side effect.
It's more likely that Joel Schumacher and the writers of Batman Forever took some of the villain concepts that were already out there, like Riddler and Two-Face, but then the way they did them, the execution and the tone, that was entirely their own. Very different from whatever Burton might have cooked up. When Tim Burton's Batman 3 got the axe and Joel Schumacher's Batman Forever came out instead, it was a massive turning point. That dark, connected story Burton had been carefully building, it kind of shattered. Key actors were replaced, and that brooding, gothic vibe just gave way to neon lights and a whole lot of camp. We never got to see Billy D. Williams finally become Two-Face, which is a true missed opportunity. Robin Williams as that potentially terrifying Riddler? That just remained an intriguing what if. And Michelle Pfeiffer's iconic Catwoman, whose story felt so unfinished, just sort of faded into Hollywood legend, especially since her planned spin-off also didn't happen as originally imagined. The Batman '89 comic series has since tried to give fans a little taste of what might have been, continuing the story from Batman Returns and even featuring a Two-Face who looks like Billy D. Williams and a Robin inspired by Marlon Wayans.
That's fast work. You just moved here.
Well, you could say he just kind of dropped out of the sky and bam. I think you felt it too.
So, Tim Burton's Batman Continues is definitely one of cinema's most fascinating unmade masterpieces, a dark dream of what could have been, right? Would you have wanted to see Tim Burton get to complete his Batman trilogy with this darker vision? What are your thoughts on the characters and plot lines we almost got? Let us know in the comments below. And if you love hearing about Hollywood's lost stories like this one, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more about the greatest movies that never quite made it. Burton's unmade Batman 3 definitely casts a long shadow over the Dark Knight's cinematic history. It's kind of a ghostly reminder of a really unique vision that got stopped in its tracks, that darker, more psychologically complex path that wasn't taken. Sure, Batman Forever gave us a third Batman film, but the spectral image of Batman Continues? That's always gonna linger in the imaginations of fans. A perfect testament to the tantalizing power of what if.